Back with the commissioner now. One thing in your report that we should talk about is the consent decree. Been around for a bit in Baltimore. Do you feel like you're making progress with what the judge has ordered?
Absolutely. I think we're making significant progress. We'll be in a public hearing tomorrow,
okay.
Quarterly public hearing where the judge will talk to us about where the DOJ, the monitors, and the judge think we are. We'll be able to tell them where we think we are. Right now, we're showing that we are about 86% either in initial compliance or on track to be in initial compliance with 86% of all the paragraphs, which is really, really good. And so we're moving along well. More than 40 other agencies from around the country and the world and other countries have come to Baltimore to be able to study us from one day to a week. Chiefs, assistant chiefs, entire teams have come to study to figure out how we're reducing crime, how we're acquiring technology, how we're complying with this consent decree and reform, being the leader in reform, and how are we doing it at the same time, which debunks the false narrative that you cannot reduce crime and reform at the same time.
Yeah.
The Baltimore Police Department is showing America that it's possible.
One of the things in the consent decree, at least what I remember, is fostering a better relationship between the department and the public.
Yes.
And there's a lot of people questioning if that can happen with this curfew, the idea of a curfew in the city, if that hurts that relationship. I think it was a public defender who brought that up. What do you think about the curfew and your ability to help with that and the ability to slow down crime with it?
Well, we want to make sure children are safe. We want to make sure children have resources. We want to make sure they are where they're supposed to be late at night. We want to make sure we can prevent them from being harmed. We want to prevent them from being the persons harming other people. So that's really the goal. And so it's not about snatching kids off the street. It's about making sure they're where they're supposed to be and making sure we can provide them the resources that they need. Many times they're wandering around because they don't have what they need. And so it's really about the care for the young people, keeping them safe, but keeping and protecting them from themselves so that they don't get themselves in trouble.
For us growing up, it was always Miss Thornton. Miss Thornton would call police. If you're playing basketball in the alley, she's calling police. Do you think that some people in the community still feel like they can call you? Because for a while, there was a feeling that they couldn't.
People are calling, and the trust is being restored. It is not perfect. We still have a ways to go, long way to go, but it is improving. And when you hear us say that we did more work, we did more proactive work, we made more stops, we made more arrests, we took more guns off the street, by the way, which is the most dangerous kind of stop, to stop someone and arrest them while they're in possession of a gun. And we did that with injury going down, uses of force going down, and citizen complaints going down. So while some metrics are going up and those important metrics from the community are going down, that shows that we're doing a better job. And that's how you build trust in relationships, by doing the job better and not doing it the wrong way. And then with your help telling the story.
Sure. Tell me a story for young people now, because I think that's the biggest concern. I think, and you had some juvenile stats also. When we're trying to reduce this number, 15, 16, 17 years old, whether they're the victim or the suspect, I think that is most maddening for me as a parent to see it happening, and especially young people that may end up that look like me. What do we need to do as an organization and as a city as a whole, I guess, so I don't have to read that headline anymore?
And so look, the mayor is on top of this. We're pulling together community, faith leaders, business leaders, law enforcement, government leaders. All of us together are responsible for changing the culture, changing the mindset of why they need to be involved in violence, why they need to even have a gun, much less use a gun, and how to solve conflict. This is really about conflict resolution. How do we solve conflict and teach them how to do it properly without force and without violence? And so that's at the heart of this. All of us together is the message. We will help you if you let us, but we're going to stop you if you make us.
Yeah, too big of a job for one man. It's going to take a community. Sir, it's good to see you.
Good to see you. Pleasure.
I wish you luck out there.
Appreciate it. Thank you.